Time to bring the heat. Welcome to Head and Shoulders, where we talk about athletes' performances and otherwise that are head and shoulders above the rest. Thank you for joining us today because eventually we're going to start having live streams. So before I get into the content, what I'm looking for is we're looking to build up an army. So we're looking for 1,000 subscribers before the end of July. Thank you for the people that have subscribed so far, and thank you for the correction in the comment section. Someone pointed out that there were Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce actually won Beijing and London in the 100. But when I thought about that, I actually was thinking about her performance in the 200 for some reason and got those jumbled up where she lost to Allison Felix. But thank you for that correction. And thank you for the 2 people that subscribe. And yes, I did just create this channel yesterday on June 5th. But thank you. If you're here watching this one, you're either coming back to an old one because this is the future, or you're in the present or somewhere around there and seeing this is the second video. So let's get into the broccoli, the beets, and all the other good stuff that makes us strong athletes right now. So my whole thing is that Jamaica is going to win the 4x100 meter relay. I look back at London at the world record as far as the opening times for athletes here. This is on the World Athletics website. You go to Stat Zone, top list, right? Switch the gender to female because it's default set to male. Now I went back to 2012. Let's look at that first before I even come back here. The world record is 40.84. Let's double check that. 82. Oh my goodness. I need to know these things. 40.82 seconds. Now, Carmelita Jeter was on the anchor. They said fastest anchor by a woman is 9.7. Now, just like Bob Hayes, I have to go double check this one. Fastest anchor by a man, electronically time, it says, is 8.65. Now, I said Bob Hayes had a hand time of 8.7, but upon review, because they had electronic timing, that's electronic timing, not electronically timed, 860 and 850, which is crazy. So it just depends on, is Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce going to be the anchor? Because I can see this definitely going down. Or are they going to run her, which makes more sense for her to try to cover more distance as well in between the two on the second leg? Or would they have her with I gotta close out this Discord. Hold on just a second. All right, we are back. Let's get this off the screen. Yeah, I run a Discord group too. I'm into cryptocurrencies, investing, trading, and things like that, and I run that. So that's something separate. We're talking about sports here. So with that being said, are they going to run her on the first leg? Are they going to run her on the second leg, which makes sense, or are they going to run her as an anchor? We're going to see. It really just depends. It's going to be her last Olympics, so I can see that the Jamaican team will have her run as the anchor, as a representative of Team Jamaica. That makes logical sense. But if they're going for maxed out, we're trying to blast and blaze this world record, which I believe they're going under 40.7, and really at the slowest, I would say 40.74. I mean, that's the slowest I can see them. Other than that, they probably just messed up a baton exchange. They're tired or whatever through the rounds and whatnot. Because look at this. This was 2012 now. Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce with the 10.7. She in the final of the 100, 10.75, right? Carmelita Jeter, 10.78. That's what she ran in the final to place second. Veronica Campbell-Brown. So let's look at this. We have sub 10.8, sub 10.8, Jamaica, U.S. We got one Jamaican under 10.9. Then we have 2 Americans. Allison Felix was just doing great that year in the 100. 2 Americans under 10.9. I think that's the death knell, because then we get sub 11 and just over 11 before we get our next Jamaican athlete, because we got 1 sub 11, Karan Stewart, But Simpson and then everybody else, they were just hovering around 11 flat, just around 11 flat, so just above it. And the death knell was just, you had 5 athletes before the 4th Jamaican athlete. And I mean, this is like a sub in if you needed a sub in, you know. Oh, don't click that. Do not click and load that one. Okay, good. Because then I'll have to go do this again. So that was a death knell right there. And now the death knell is in the U.S. The U.S. is not favored, but it's in the Jamaica's favor, because even though you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 American athletes above the 4th Jamaican, which is Brianna Williams, I believe that she's going to improve her time. But let's just go by the times that we have right now. Let's just say they don't do any better than that, and they, let's say, match their times. And you know, as spectators, a lot of times people don't realize that you're not going to run your PR at every time, right? And even your best time as far as on the relay split. So for example, this 1063, let's say that was good for a 9.5. If she had a running start and everything, that doesn't mean that she's going to run at 9.5. She might run at 9.75. So she might not even run her best performance even in that final, if you get what I'm saying. Because when we as athletes are not going to always run our best times. That's just a fact, even if it comes to the final. But when it comes to Jamaicans, I really do expect them to run at or near their best times, because they put it together, especially when it comes to the 100. The 4x1, they got better exchanges overall than the U.S. when it comes to the women's side. The men's side, you know, we flubbed up freaking so many Olympics and world championships. I don't know what to say about that in the recent history. But here we go. And I say we loosely, because I want to try to be as, separated from this as possible. So if we go by just the times here, the United States still gets second. That record is still going to go down, because the only one that keeps them even close is Sha'Carri Richardson. With Elaine Thompson and Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce themselves, the entire rest of the field is put away. They got nothing, absolutely nothing on them. These marks here are just too much, they got the heat, okay? They got the jets. Because if you run Elaine Thompson and say, hey, you're coming out of the blocks, we go put Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce on in second leg. Even though Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce, as far as Team Jamaica, I mean, she got the best start out of virtually every athlete that's competing right now. Maybe a much slower athlete could have a better start than her, and then they just don't got anything else, right? But for the most part, we're going to say all these top athletes right here, she's got a better start than all of them. I would trust her any day of the week. I put my life on it. That Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce, if I was sleeping and they say, hey, who's going to come out with the jet start? And you know what? If you're wrong, you're dead. If you're right, you live. And I'm like, dang, I don't get a prize? No, you don't. You just that's all you get. I'm gonna put Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce 100% of the time. So she's gonna have the best start. It just depends on where they run. But let's just say the U.S. isn't put away from that. We got Elaine Thompson right here. That's roughly around Sha'Carri Richardson. Is going to be a slight advantage to Sha'Carri Richardson. And this is assuming nobody improves, and let's just say they run at or near their best times, right? Remember, roll with me. If they do that and Sha'Carri Richardson comes out, I can see her coming out. But if they do her like they do in the NCAAs, she's likely to run third or anchor. So, or I mean, second or anchor leg. And I would almost imagine that the U.S. will have her as the anchor leg, if anything, because they're probably like, hey, Jamaica's going to be above. We need somebody with jets to come up and try to run down Team Jamaica. That's the way I would assume that the U.S. is thinking. So with that being said, what you got? The U.S. has a better bench squad That's what I would say, because there are so many athletes. If somebody gets hurt on Team USA, they got so many people right here under, so many women underneath 11 seconds that they just got a deeper field. That's the thing. The US has a deeper field. But I mean, if Williams gets hurt, you got Nelson, you got Jackson. While she isn't a sub 11, that's going to hurt them. But as long as the top athlete, one or two of them, and Elaine Thompson, I'm just sorry, she struggles with injury. So that's going to be the wild card here. Does Elaine Thompson perform, or does something happen? Does Sha'Carri Richardson perform? Because that's the wild card on the U.S. team. If you take out Sha'Carri Richardson, they really get the freaking bricks blown out of them. Like, it's just demolition. Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce is, take out Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce and Sha'Carri Richardson, and Jamaica still wins. Take out the best two athletes, and at least, if it's not even a world record, Jamaica still wins. They're just deep enough. Even with this going down on the list, where was I looking at, with Shericka Jackson running over 11, and we're just assuming all the times runners they are at or near their times, and Jamaica having better, smoother exchanges than the US most of the time. That's what we got to factor in. You run it at or near your times, but the exchanges, that's going to be the difference. So what do I think this is going to be at? At worst, 40.74. On an average time, on an average day, 40.74. But me, if I'm gonna put a real stickler on this, we go sub 40.6. Now, here's where some of the speculation comes. Elaine Thompson breaks 10.7. Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce remains there or breaks 10.6. And we're just talking about Team Jamaica right now. I'm not talking about USA, because USA, can they set a national record? Yes, I think that's possible. And Bartoletta might actually be on that same team, because she was on the record-breaking team back in 2012 in London. So if she can get herself to qualify as the main squad instead of the, the sub squad on here, and get in that top 3 or number 4 at nationals, then she's gonna be participating in the final like that. But even if she's 6, hey, she still will get that national record on her resume. But with that being said, Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce at here, or 10.5 something. Elaine Thompson sub 10.7, or let's say 10.7 flat. She just matches her PR. Natasha Morrison, she's got to show a little bit of an improvement. We give her about a 10.82. Brianna Williams, I can see her breaking 10.9. I really can see, especially with the running start, it's just going to depend on where they put Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce, because if they maximize her start, is that a good enough sacrifice? What do you guys think? Because these are the strategies, and this is what I've thought as a coach. Do you maximize your fastest person start, or do you have them take up the most distance on because if the fastest person also has the best start on your team, then do you have them come out, or do you and try to put away the field from that, or do you have them as second leg and trying to make up and just put away everybody else? And Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce did say that she still has to work on her speed endurance, because her last 20 meters, if you see that race, go watch the race that happened yesterday. If you see the race, people were assuming that she was slowing down, but she actually revealed in the interview afterward that wasn't her slowing down or her shutting down. That because she did it on purpose. That was actually her slightly dying out. So she lost some of her form right there in that last 20 meters, 15, 17, or 20 meters. Just watch the race again and you can see it. And that was actually, and watch the interview if you find that was her actually just kind of dying out a little bit. So that was not her purposefully, at least that's what she's telling us. That's not her purposely slowing down. She didn't ease up at the line. She just didn't have it all the way there. That means she still has room for improvement with over a month and yeah, about almost 2 months, a month and a few weeks to go. Shoot, she can improve that. And wow, if she improves that, then her running that extra distance will even make more sense than her coming out with the start. It really just depends on where she is. So with that being said, I would say ideally they're going sub 40.6. Now, maybe the math isn't there, but with the Jets already there, great handoffs, and with the running start, I don't know. So guys, definitely subscribe. Thank you for watching this far into the video. If you made it this far, share this with other people because we want to have a call-in show. We're going to talk about the doping and why it's stupid, in my opinion, for Brianna Rollins to be banned for 5 years. For 5 years. Why don't we switch it to athletes getting fined? This is not at the Olympics. This is USA. This is why we need an actual team. It's roughly Team USA, roughly Team Great Britain, and things like that. We don't have clubs like how a soccer or football internationally, as is known, would have. We don't have football like American football. We don't have teams, clubs, teams, same thing. We don't have those different things. The NBA is its own little circle. And then they can say, all right, if you want to go to the Olympics, you can go. This is what I would say, because I would like to start a track and field league and have that. But the thing is, and I'll tell them, hey, if you want to risk getting injured and you know you got a contract here, you can go. I'm not going to stop you from competing at the Olympics. But just know you should make more money in our track and field league. Now, in the beginning, obviously you're growing, so it wouldn't be that way. But if it, instead of athletes having to compete and then they have to, you know, you can't really work a job because you have to rest a certain amount, especially at the highest level. Yes, Rogers Bannister broke 4 minutes in the mile being a physician on his feet for 16 hours a day sometimes, because they have those double shifts or whatever, and sometimes overnight or whatever, and then still doing it. He was very scientific with how he did stuff and with low mileage. Yes. Will that make him through the rounds and be an Olympic champion? No. Will that stop other athletes once they figure out how you do things? Do it? No, because Landy from Australia and other people just immediately, as he did it, within weeks and days away, they started breaking 4 minutes in the mile, and then he wouldn't have been able to compete. He put it down. That's the mark, and there you go. If Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce was running quick times and then she had to work a full job, wow, right? Kenenisa Bekele, I mentioned it in the last video, running a hotel business like Haile Gebrselassie did, but he is very inconsistent. So once you get these people to start working jobs, even if they're at the top of the world in the food chain, they even can't dominate as much, especially when they put too much. It's like a balance, because a lot of these athletes do run their own businesses and side things as well, right? But maybe they were doing it before they were the athletes. And as they put more time into that business, even if they were at the top, Kenenisa Bekele, from world record breaker to inconsistent in the marathon where he doesn't finish, to he's a second or two behind the world record, to he doesn't finish again, and then he's doing really well, and then he doesn't finish. Like, hey, that's what happens. So with that being said, definitely we want to have a call-in show. We want to get the drama going. So subscribe to us. Catch you all on the next one, because this is Head and Shoulders, and we're going to talk about being head and shoulders above the rest.